Yeah, how do you get off a topic like that onto the next one? Whew.
Yeah,
I don't even have a segue. I don't. What have I got nothing, Rafael. I got nothing. Welcome to Expat Life Germany, and I'm back. You might have noticed last week that there was no episode, and that's because I have a new guest in the house. It's a baby. The baby arrived. It's now 3 weeks old, and I don't know how much you know about babies, but they're not particularly considerate house guests. They cry a lot, make a lot of noise. They need to eat a lot. So there is all of that. So that's all that's been going on. So because of that, I haven't had the time that I would have liked to put in the podcast. So I skipped a week. And it's also the reason that I will be switching to a fortnightly schedule for November. But don't worry, December will be back to a weekly schedule. For now, though, I need some time. As it is, I'm doing this, a little intro between diaper changes and rocking and so on. But it's been great. It's so much fun. And, you know, this is the third time we've had a newborn in the house. And you actually forget what it's like having such a small being in your house. And like what noisy sleepers they are. My God, it's like sleeping with a flock of geese in your room. I would love to tell you more about the baby, and I will in a future episode. But right now I'm very tired, and I'm also very fluish. And I'm basically not much fun at all. But you know what is fun? Is my guest this week. Rafael from Brazil, and he is actually one of my closest friends. I met him when I worked together with him back in 2012, and we became friends almost immediately. And even now that he's living in Frankfurt and I'm near Nuremberg, we've still managed to remain in each other's lives and see each other quite often. So that closeness also made this interview feel a little different. And Rafael really opened up about some personal issues. And he talks about losing his father and living far away from family and going through that kind of thing. He also talks about making friends in Germany and how he did it through team sports. And of all things, we also discuss Bulgarian wedding traditions. Enjoy my friend Rafael from Brazil. So this week, it's a bit of a different situation for me because it's not often that I get to interview someone I've known for 7 years. So we've known each other 7 years. So usually I sit across here, I don't know the people very well. We're kind of good friends.
Yes, we are.
Rafael, we're kind of good friends, right?
Yes, we are. We are good friends.
So this is the kind of thing you learn in a podcast that people you thought you knew, you maybe don't know that well. So I believe that we're friends.
Yes, we are friends.
You are from Brazil.
Yes.
And I am from South Africa. And before we start, I just want to say you sent me something the other day that made us both very proud as citizens of our countries.
Yes.
On the World Index, Rafael, we're winning.
We are winning.
We're winning.
Yeah.
Brazil and South Africa are winning. Brazil number 1, South Africa number 2. So we're winning. We're kicking some ass.
We are. Literally.
We're literally kicking ass. The problem is, it's the World Index of Most Dangerous Places to Live in 2019. Take that, rest of the world. Do you ever get the feeling that Germans and people from safer countries take it a little bit for granted here in Germany, how safe things are? Because, I mean, you coming from Brazil, you know what it's like to live in.
Yeah, they don't know what it's like.
They have no idea, right?
I always say when I came here that one of the reasons was because Germany for me was a safer place than in Brazil. And then I always say that I have to always walk with an eye back in my head, my head, in Brazil, in São Paulo at least. And here I don't need that, although I do it, but I don't need it. And they don't understand that feeling.
No.
I used to say that always when I get inside a train, on a bus, I check everything that's around, places, people that are there, just to know if there is something that can disturb me somehow. Yeah. And I don't know if they have that feeling
they don't
at all.
And I do the exact same thing. It's exactly the same for me. When I, even though I've been here for 12 years, I still... When I'm driving and I stop at a red traffic light, I still leave a bit of space in front of the car in front of me in case I need to leave in a rush.
Do you close your windows as well?
I close my windows.
Yeah, of course.
Even
if it's 35 degrees outside and your air condition is broken.
Okay, I might open my windows in that case. But yeah, I remember when I first got to Germany, I drove with some people to their village and they parked the car. It was my first week in Germany and we got out the car and then we just walked away from the car towards the apartment. And I was like, you guys want to lock your car? And he's like, 9.
No.
We're good. And that just blew my mind because even in the safe areas of South Africa, you would still lock your car.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was first time I came here was for work. I remember that one of my friends from work was driving us back to our hotel, and it was after a bar or something.
Right.
And it was around 2 o'clock in the morning, and there was a red light in a desert street, and he stopped. And I started to freak out.
Yeah. What are you doing?
What are you doing here? It was I guess one of my first months here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why don't you go? No, you have to respect the light. What do you mean respect the light? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Nobody's gonna come. You can drive away.
Yeah.
No, we wait.
Yeah. That's very foreign. It's very foreign to us. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. You
For
you never do that.
No. In South Africa, at 2 o'clock in the morning, a traffic light is just a caution sign. It's just a yield. So. Yeah. But it's the opposite is true as well. When Germans go to our countries, they might not expect the level of security that they need because we both have a friend named Timor.
Timor, yes.
And he went to South Africa, this friend of ours named Timor. And on the first day, he got scammed.
Yeah.
Although
he knows us.
Although he knows us, and we did tell him, be careful.
Be careful, don't talk to people, but...
What does he do? Day 1? Asks strangers for help at a cash machine.
Yes.
That's not what you do in South Africa.
No.
So, yeah. Tell me a bit about where you're from in Brazil.
So I'm from São Paulo.
Okay.
No, I'm not from Rio. I don't like Rio.
I thought Rio was the only city in Brazil.
No. Yeah, it's always a disappointment when I say I'm from Brazil. People say, from Rio. No, I'm not from Rio. I'm from São Paulo.
Okay.
But Carnival is in Rio, in São Paulo as well. Nobody knows São Paulo at all.
No.
Yeah. So I'm born and raised there. 12 million people living there.
12 million.
Yeah. And then I moved to a very small village called Frankfurt in 2012.
Why did you move to Germany?
Yeah, so I was working in São Paulo for Ericsson, big company, and there is an office here in Frankfurt. And back in 2010, they needed help from the development team in São Paulo to help them with a big project that was going on. And my boss sent me with 2 other colleagues, and we spent 6 months here. We had 1 or 2 months as a back trip, let's say like that we stayed in São Paulo, then we came back for another time. And that's the funny thing. After I came back with the idea of moving to Germany for good. When I came back, I was feeling as a foreigner in my own country. And this was really strange. Everything annoyed me. The weather annoyed me. People annoyed me.
The weather annoyed you. The weather in Brazil
the weather annoyed me because, I don't know, although I live in Brazil and there's summer most of the time, like hot weather, I never like it that much. And after spending the winter here, I said, I love winter. More than I knew that I love it.
That's got to surprise Germans when you tell them.
Yes, a lot. Yeah. Anyway, so then I came back. I felt myself as a foreigner. So even walking, using the train was annoying me. Everything was annoying me.
Just grumpy Rafael back in Brazil.
I'm already grumpy by nature, let's like that. But that period of my life was like the grumpiest that I ever had at all. And it was funny because one day I was talking with one of the colleagues that was with me in Frankfurt. And then he was saying, here everything works in Frankfurt, in Germany. You have good security. You have the S-Bahn, U-Bahn, all the trains, the buses that takes you everywhere in the city. You have a good infrastructure for schools, everything public works, hospitals and everything. If I didn't have a small baby, I would move here straight away. And I said, yeah, I don't know. And then he said, yeah, you were single, you could do that easily. And then he put this small seed on my mind, and then that started developing. And after I came back, it was April, and then in June, I had a talk with my boss regarding goals for the year. And then I said that I want to go back to Germany, but for good. And then he said that, yeah, I won't block you. And almost 1 year after, in February 2012, I moved.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're still here.
I am. Yeah.
Still here. Was there ever a time when you thought of going back?
No.
There was never a time where
No.
you thought,
No. Although several periods of my life since I moved here, not several, but quite a few ones that I missed home or missed my friends. It was just that I was missing them,
not missing
home.
to
going back and live in Brazil again, in São Paulo. Because here, for example, when I was still living in Brazil, I had to walk 30 minutes to take a train, then plus 20 minutes to go to work, then more 5 minutes to get to work.
Okay.
And this 2 times a day under the sun, the heat, and it was disturbing me all the time. And then when I was working here, I was getting the train right up from the door from the hotel, going to work in 6 minutes, and that was it. I was not losing any time of my life. Of course, if you compare to other people in Brazil that have to drive a car for 2.5 hours because of traffic, it's nothing.
Yeah.
But when you see that there is something different that you don't like in your country, and you here is like nothing, there is no problem, you take that into account. And that these small things starting going together, and then suddenly you don't have only one small thing, you have a lot of things that fit together, and then you say, okay, it makes sense that here is where I can make a better life for me.
Yeah. And has it been a better life, do you think, than you would have had in Brazil?
Yes, I think so.
What makes it better?
Of course, my salary increased a lot, and here is not so expensive as in São Paulo. Plus, you have all this insurance that covers you on everything you do. And the public hospitals here, they work. In Brazil, you have always to go to private ones and have private health insurance as well. And here, I could start saving money, which I couldn't do in Brazil. And here, of course, I had the possibility to play and to do a sport regularly. And be on a regularly with a team and do things with them and do the sport that I couldn't do that often in Brazil anymore.
Okay. So you're a pretty friendly and easygoing guy.
Yes.
I mean, we made a connection pretty early on when we met, and you're an easy guy to get along with.
Yes.
A common theme on this podcast with a lot of guests is making friends with Germans and how difficult it is. Is it something that you've also found difficult?
Yes and no. It was
Jein, as
Jein,
the Germans would say.
One of the most famous expressions in German. In the beginning, it was, as everybody says in Brazil, we had the stereotype that Germans are very cold people.
Yeah.
And when I arrived here, of course, I felt that, but then I understand why they are like that. So in the beginning, they are cold. They first ask you thousands of questions. It's like a job interview question. After a while,
a friend interview.
Yes, exactly. And after a while, suddenly, I guess there's something that changes, a switch that turns on, and then you are inside on their circle of friendship. Yeah. So, but one thing that I did in the beginning, as I mentioned, that I have the possibility here to do the sport that I love, which is handball. Once I knew that I was going to move, I started looking for handball teams in Frankfurt, and I found one, wrote the coach, and he said, when you arrive, you can just come to the practice and see if you like, and you're going to do it. So I arrived on a Sunday, and on a Tuesday, I was already in the team.
Really?
On the practice, yeah.
Okay.
And then the guys were all nice, all friendly.
Did they speak English to you?
Yes.
Because at that time, your German wasn't very good.
I didn't have any German.
No German.
No German at all, just my English. So the guys were very friendly. And then, but I couldn't feel that, okay, after a few weeks, am I doing something? Because I'm just keep seeing them on the practice, and afterwards, nobody speaks with me or we don't talk and something like that. Yeah. And I remember that guys were inviting me to watch football or to play darts at home, or I never played darts. I don't even know what was that. Play darts. Yeah, I'm playing darts. I love playing darts.
Sure, I'll do it.
I was just saying yes for anything.
Okay.
So just to show them, okay, I'm living here and I'm up for it, and I want to be part of whatever you guys have.
Yeah, even if it's darts.
Yes. So I was saying yes to everything that they were trying to do or going, and then I guess with that they started to see, this guy, he's cool, he's easygoing, and etc. And I was becoming part of their group, let's say like that, inside of the handball team. Of course, we were seeing each other on the weekends doing things, but also we were 2 times per week, Tuesday and Thursdays, where we had our practice, and on Sundays for games. But outside, you're talking with them alone, they speak in English. At the moment that somebody else comes,
it switches to German.
Yeah. And this was really the hardest part in the first months of my life here.
Yeah.
So if I was speaking alone to somebody would come, speak like 2 or 3 sentences in English, and then German would come in and say, okay.
You're sitting there on your own.
Yeah, I'm just sitting
little
there.
Rafael Island. Yeah.
You know? And this was also happening on the practice because the coach was, of course, speaking everything in German.
Yeah.
And doing the explanation, everybody, etc. Of course, if I didn't understand something, I could ask something in English to somebody after the explanation, then they would tell me. And then after a while, I understood, okay, they're not going to change for me just because I am there. So I have to do it, mitmachen, as they say it, to do it together.
Yeah.
And somehow I got over that. But this was on the team sports. And the other thing is that I realized was at work. At work is a different place to make friends.
Yeah.
First, because they are not all the same age, or let's say like that. And I don't have the feeling that a lot of people at work, they can split between friendship and colleagues.
Okay.
Either you are a colleague or you are my friend. Maybe you can be my friend, but you are a colleague.
Yeah.
You are my colleague. So from work, I made very few friends.
How dare you, Rafael?
Yeah, sorry.
A few good ones, though.
Few good ones. And now I remember something. We talked about him already today, Timo.
Timo.
Yes. And I remember I got in contact with him because we were in the same team when I arrived in Frankfurt. And he seemed to be a pretty nice guy when I met him. So I say, okay, I have to try to make friendship with this guy because he's on my team and we're going to be spending a lot of time together. And I remember that I was, in the first week when I arrived, he said, on the Friday, a friend of us is playing music. He's a singer in a band, a colleague from us. You want to come? Yeah, of course. I want to go with you guys anywhere.
There's Rafael saying yes to everything. Again.
Yes, exactly. And this guy had to be you, Sean.
Yeah, I was the guy singing in the band.
Yes. So you went there. It was really cool. And then on the same day, Timo suggested to go to a bar, to a club afterwards. We all 3 did something together. So, okay, I have to stick to these guys somehow, always. And then I remember one day or several days, hey, Timo, what are you doing today? It was a Friday, for example. What are you doing today? Today I can't. I'm doing this or that with my girlfriend or this or that. What about tomorrow? Tomorrow I'm blocked. Okay, about next week? Next week I can't. Okay, so then we see. Then this happened several times.
And then you start thinking, he's not interested.
No, I could never get to him to do something like in the short term. Okay. It was always like in the 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or
right.
I don't know what the hell is that. I never expect that. In Brazil, you call somebody on the night, hey, what are you doing? Nothing. Let's go for a beer. Let's go, I don't know, play football or play video games or whatever. And then it was really hard to get something. And with the handball guys, that didn't happen because they were inviting me to things. So maybe they had these things planned for a week later or for a week in advance or 1 month in advance. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I was not seeing that from the handball side. And then I remember that some months afterwards or some weeks, I don't remember exactly. I remember sitting on my office on a Friday, working. Timo comes, knock on my door. What are you doing tonight? I don't have plans. Let's go for a beer. What?
And you're like, holy crap.
Are you talking to me? You talking to me to go to a beer today, like spontaneously? Okay, let's do it. And then it started developing. But I guess this is what I always say to people when about the Germans. I think they learn a bit of how I am.
Yeah.
And they got this thing from me.
Yeah.
And I got these other things from them of being like little bit not so open all the time and being not careful, but careful with the quotes like that. Yeah. And I like this exchange. And
I think that's a good point. I think that it's a very good point that they get that feeling from you and you get that feeling from them. It's kind of, you learn from each other, how are we going to deal with the situation? How are we going to be friends? So they can be a little more spontaneous because German friendships do need planning. It's exactly right what you're saying. If you're going to be friends with someone, it's very seldom. And of course, we're generalizing because I work with people now, some Germans who are very spontaneous.
Yeah.
And it could be that I need more planning nowadays because I got a family and whatever else. But yeah, it's in general, I think they are less able to do spontaneous things with people that they're not yet friends with.
Yes. I like this exchange, and I like first that I like to say that you have to first get inside on their culture so they can get inside your culture.
Yeah.
How they are.
Yeah.
And this comes also a lot with the willing of the person who is living here to learn the language. Okay, I don't judge. If you want to live here and don't be part of the culture and stuff,
but
you
then
don't
you're
have
missing
to.
out.
But you are living in another country, and you are just maybe meeting people from your country.
Yeah.
And
I think you miss out on the culture and the experiences. Yeah, and that's half of why you're moving to another country, I would think. You have to be open for those things. Yeah. You have to be open to eat their food, to know how they do it, how they party, or how they do this and that, and it's part of everything. And of course, learning the language, as hard as the language can be, you have to try. Yeah.
And it was funny when I told the guys in the handball team that I was starting to learn German. They said, "Okay, so we're now going to speak to you in German, even if you don't know." So that you start to get used to. And I remember in the end of the first season, the guys always do a trip to celebrate the end of the season. And on that season, I guess we went to do a boat trip in the Netherlands. Mm-hmm. And I remember on the way, friend of mine, very good friend today, he was teaching me in the car, German verbs, the basic ones.
The whole trip?
The whole trip. Yeah. Also in the boat, other guys was... It was strange, but it was nice, We were like there drinking beer, speaking English, learning some words and stuff like that. And it's nice. You have to be open. And the more you try to speak, the more they see, okay, this guy is trying. He's really willing to learn the language and stuff like that.
Yeah. Just to come back to the handball for 1 second. Yeah. I'm going to put it in the show notes if you agree on it. But there's an amazing picture of you flying through the air. Yes. Majestic.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
It is a good one. I've never had a picture of me that is that great. Have you
ever played handball?
No.
Okay.
No, I haven't. But I've never done anything in my life that looks that good in a picture. When I met you, your German obviously wasn't that good, but your English was very good. What has living in Germany done to your English? Because you hardly speak it anymore.
Yeah, you have seen now. I don't remember English words anymore.
Yeah.
And because in the beginning at work was only English, then I started learning German, and slowly I could start getting some words, saying some sentences. And then at one point at work, people would start the meeting in German. And if it was too difficult for me, we would switch to English. And at one point, I was doing everything in German. And then I was trying to catch up with German in the meeting at work. And then at some point at work, I was just speaking German. But one thing that was hard in Ericsson was that, for example, you, Timo, and other guys that I met in English, I could never switch to German with these guys, And this was hard in Ericsson. Then when I changed jobs to the new job, I met everybody in German.
And
there were no English-speaking people in my team. There aren't. And I kept German. Yeah. So German became, now that I changed, let's say 98% of my time is German. Also in the handball team, as I said, the guys, after I started learning, they never spoke English again, only when they were drunk. Then they started speaking English to me. Which was funny.
That's weird.
Yes. And then because of that, my English went really bad, worse, let's say like that. And I forget words. I not so fresh anymore. And
I know, because earlier on when we were talking, you used a Portuguese word, a German word, and an English word in one sentence, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, on the one side, it's good because I get to get my German a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I don't depend on English anymore. So it even feels weird for me to speak English nowadays.
Yeah.
For example, because I'm not used anymore. But on the other side, it's bad because my English got a really
Yeah.
decreasing curve, let's like that.
Yeah.
But it's fine. English, it always comes back. It's like my Portuguese. My Portuguese is even worse than my English. When I go home, I cannot even use German words because my mom wouldn't understand.
Yeah. So, with the problem with living so far away from home is that you're far away from people back home.
Yes.
And you've experienced some tragedy while you've been here.
Yes.
You had some tragedy back at home.
Yes.
When your dad passed away. In fact, it's almost 5 years to the day.
Yes. Tomorrow, actually, it was going to be...
Tomorrow is 5 years.
5 years.
5 years to the day. What is it like going through something like that and being far away from home?
It was really hard because I couldn't be at his funeral and I couldn't be with my family when it happened. But on the other hand, this might sound strange, it was also better in a way because I could keep doing my things to try to shift the focus. But it's hard because it's not like you can take a flight for 1 hour and then you are at home. You have to take a flight for 12 hours.
Yeah.
And that costs a lot.
It's expensive.
Yeah. And also, it was a really long process. What happens to my dad? He had a heart problem. And then it came to a point that he needed a new heart. So from that point on that he needed a new heart, he spent a lot of time at the hospital with his wife, waiting for the heart. And this condition was getting worse and worse and worse. And suddenly, in one point of time, he got the heart. And I said, okay, now things can be better. And the thing is that you are here. I was talking to him and talking to his wife, and they say that everything's okay or everything's not so perfect, but you actually don't know because you're not seeing it.
Yeah. You just have what they are telling you to go by.
And you have some pictures that somebody sent you or that you see it or whatever. And this was in 2014 at the World Cup that happened in Brazil. And I had planned to go to the World Cup to see some games. And on my last week in Brazil, I spent the whole week with him at the hospital. And I remember when I got there, not for this week, but when I arrived there, I went to the hospital room and I saw my dad. Man,
that's hard.
That's not my dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You haven't seen him get to that point. You have the old picture in your head.
You have the old picture, and I have the picture that on the point where he is after getting the new heart.
Yeah.
And my dad he was like me. He was always doing sports and stuff like that. And he played tennis, he played football, and he was a sport guy. Let's like that. And then you go there and you see your dad, like, he's totally thin. Yeah. He couldn't walk anymore because he was laying down for so long, like 6 months, waiting for the heart. And then I said, okay, the color was a little bit strange from his skin because of medicine. And it's really a shock. You had to hold to yourself to try to not show that you are impressed with
how much shock. You don't want to let on how much of a shock it is to see him
exactly.
like that.
Yeah, then we spent this week, and I'm glad that we did that, and this was in the end of some point in July, and then it came that in September 15, 2014, he passed away. He couldn't. Okay. There was a problem, not with the heart, but with his lungs, and then yeah.
And you were back in Germany when he passed away.
I was at work. It was a Monday, and my mom wrote me asking if she could call me.
Did you know at that point?
I said, okay, something happened.
Yeah.
And then when I called her, she got on with a different voice that I cannot talk to you. Then my aunt came, and then
she told me.
Yeah. And I remember that on the day, I was sad, but I was relieved.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I can't explain, because my dad, he fought so much for his heart, and with the things that he had, that I don't know if he would have a good life after he left. If he left the hospital, because he couldn't walk. He had to do things for his kidneys. This how do you call this?
Dialysis.
Dialysis. Yeah. And would have been very hard to do that without the hospital, like doing alone. It would be very hard for him.
Yeah.
And for the family living with him. And there was, I was like numb. You say numb, right?
Numb,
yeah.
Yeah.
I can remember that I got home and then I thought I was going to fall down and break down and just keep crying. But I was sad, but I couldn't cry. I couldn't cry, but I didn't get into that state. So I thought, okay, why am I like that? My dad just passed away.
Yeah.
And then it came to me that it's not on that moment. It's on what happens after that.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Every now and then, I always connect with my dad through sports also. And as my dad watched Pelé playing, and I watched Neymar, is a very silly comparison, but Neymar played for Santos. Pelé also played for Santos, the football club that he was also supporter. I connect this thing, you know. Yeah. And every time Neymar did something, I want to say, I always send to my dad, did you see what Neymar did today or the game on the weekend? Yeah. And remember that after my dad passed away, Neymar would score and do a hat-trick, 3 goals in a game, and then I have to write my dad, my dad's not there. Yeah. So these things start getting me down. And like watching a movie, seeing something happen between a father and a son, this also kills me till today. Yeah. And this was the hardest part, not being at home. Because if that would happen, I would have my mom there and I could go cry for it, like a little child, like that. Yeah. And being alone here, that was the hardest part ever. Yeah. One thing that I remember, I couldn't be in the funeral, in the ceremony, and I remember that I wrote. I talked to my mom. Mom, should I get a flight to go there? I said, I don't know. It's too expensive. You're gonna come here, okay, for the funeral, but then what are you gonna do? You're gonna stay at home. Stay at work, go to work and do your things and just keep your head somewhere else. Not every time on what happened. Mm-hmm. And then I said, okay, then if I write a text, can you read out loud? And then I wrote a text and I remember that I said, hello everybody, something like this. Why are you all crying? If my dad was here, he wouldn't like you to see all crying. Mm-hmm. You should be happy. You should remember how happy he was. He was always making fun of everything. He was very positive and stuff like that. So please smile or things like that. So, and then my mom said that everybody was very emotional because of course, everything and what I said. And I got messages afterwards from friends of my dad and stuff like that. And it was for me as if I was there. So when you're far away, you try to do things in a way as if you were there. Yeah. For example, birthdays of my mom, I try to buy something on the internet to make deliver to her, for example. It's not the same, but you try to make yourself present. Yeah. So this what you start learning and nowadays with the whole technology, Skype, WhatsApp, video calls and everything, you can be more in.
I actually attended my grandmother's funeral by Skype.
By Skype.
Because I was already living in Germany when my grandmother passed away and I was quite close to her. And they set up a Skype for everyone who couldn't be there. And it was amazing because I was there. I even dressed up at home. Yeah. I was in my apartment in Würzburg and I dressed up in a suit as if I was going to go to her funeral and I attended over Skype. So it is technology that really does help bring you closer when these things are going on, because it is times like this that you feel far away, but like you say, with technology and with being able to message each other, it's like you're there in some ways.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you get off a topic like that onto the next one? Whew, yeah, I don't even have a segue. I don't. What have I got nothing, Rafael. I got nothing. You are getting married.
Wow.
Let's change this bitch.
Yes, I am getting married.
You are getting married. You have a fiancé.
Yeah, a very beautiful Bulgarian.
Bulgarian. You come to Germany and you end up with a Bulgarian woman.
Yes. My mom got crazy that you're going to go to Germany, meet a German woman, your kids are going to talk German, and I don't speak any German. And now what I did, let's make it harder for my mom.
Let's bring in a fourth language.
Yes, let's bring in Bulgarian in this game.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
And now we are on this whole planning for the big wedding day next year in Bulgaria.
Is that going to be in Bulgarian?
It's going to be in Bulgarian. And I don't speak Bulgarian.
I was about to ask, how's your Bulgarian?
My Bulgarian is not so good. I start learning, but very few words. I had 12 classes only, and now I'm continuing doing by myself with the book. And I have a
you have a teacher at home.
Yeah. And funny thing is that she's starting next week Portuguese.
Oh,
so we're gonna be exchanging learnings and things, but I don't think I will be fit for the wedding to understand everything that's going on at the church or at the party.
Do you at least know about some of the traditions that are going to happen?
Yes.
What happens at a Bulgarian wedding?
It happens a lot of things, man. A lot of dancing.
A lot of dancing? Sounds so far like a normal wedding.
No, it's dancing that you never seen before.
What?
Yes.
What kind of dancing?
Do
you have to learn a new dance?
Yes, you do actually.
Really?
Yes. It's like that. You have levels of dancing.
Levels?
Levels, yeah.
What do you mean levels?
Levels of difficulty. Like you have the easy, the medium, and the hard.
What?
Yeah, the easy medium one I can do it. My fiance can do as well. And we were in a wedding from a friend of her a few weeks ago, and something would happen, like some tradition or whatever, and then suddenly the music would come on, Bulgarian music, and suddenly everybody would stand up and say, "What's going on here?" And everybody would do a circle and start doing the dance.
The same dance.
Same dance.
Everyone knows the dance.
You hold hands, and you start dancing in circle, and you do the steps, like one to the side, to the left, and then you. Did
you know the steps at that point?
I know because I spent the New Year's there, and on the New Year's when it's midnight, the whole crowd dances together. Okay. And I did that with my back in that time with girlfriend. And yeah, we have to learn. But good that her uncle knows how to dance very well, so we're probably gonna learn from him.
Do you have to dance at the hard level when you get married? Is that the prerequisite?
Yes.
That's the ultimate.
Yeah, the ultimate. Yeah.
I'm picturing I don't know what I'm picturing. The last scene of Dirty Dancing or something.
No, it's not that. Dance. No. It's like it's like a choreography.
Yeah.
Okay, the easy one, you have like 3 or 4 steps to do it. Then you repeat them all the time.
Okay.
And then the hard one, you have let's say 4 or 5, but they have some tweaks that make you a little bit crazy if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And
I need to look at YouTube videos about this.
Yes,
are there YouTube videos? Of course there are.
There is.
I need to check them out.
So you have these dances, and normally you have some guys come with some drums and they start dancing, doing some typical dancing. Mm-hmm. And this is quite interesting. They also have some traditions with a huge bread. So the bride and the groom, they stand face
the groom.
The groom. They stand back to back, and they hold the bread on their heads.
Okay.
And then they have to push to their side, like
try and pull the bread over their head.
Yeah. So the one who pulls the biggest part is the one who is going to bring money to home. Okay. Be responsible for working and making the family good in that.
So you don't want to really pull the bread that hard.
No.
That's what I'm saying. You maybe want to let that one go. I'm trying to picture you and Penny because you're relatively tall and she's quite short, and I'm trying to picture you guys holding a loaf of bread above your head.
Probably sit down and she's going to stand up. I don't know. And then the one who gets the smallest part is responsible for cooking, cleaning the house, and all these things.
Okay, maybe you do want to pull that. Maybe you do want to pull that hard. I don't know. Actually, at this point, I don't know what's going to happen.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know what you want.
But the wedding is quite active.
It sounds like it.
It's very interesting. You do a lot of things after another, and
sounds like fun.
There's a moderator who's do this, do that, this happen now.
In Bulgarian, though.
But in our wedding, we're gonna have a translator there.
Okay. Too. For the guests that maybe don't have a clue what they're doing. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, yes. That is very exciting. So Rafael.
Yes.
What is to finish us off? What is the one piece of advice that you would offer to expats coming to Germany?
Don't come to Germany.
There you go. And that's the podcast. We won't be having any more episodes after this.
No, just kidding. Come to Germany. Be open for the Germans, for their culture. Please learn the language.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get mad about their way of being, because you probably have your own way of being, and this would also be strange for them. I remember when I came, Timo got always annoyed of me being so relaxed and so not being relaxed, but the way I behave when we were in a club or in a bar or talking to people, or I don't know. Not that annoyed, but he was seeing that it was different. And the same thing happened with me when I was seeing German. So it's normal. It's going to be different because it's another culture, it's another country. And just be open-minded and, and be happy. I don't know.
Be happy.
Yeah.
Good advice, Rafael.
Yeah. I don't know. This sounds silly, but
no,
it
is. It's good. Happy.
Enjoy.
Be positive. I think a lot of it is an attitude thing as well. When you're positive and happy,
be positive. Yeah.
It rubs off on people, and they are also. You have more impact with your attitude than you think you do.
Yeah.
Very good, Rafael. Thank you for coming to visit. Thank you for coming on the show.
You're very welcome.
It was a great chat, and thanks for your openness in discussing these things. I really appreciate it. And good luck for the wedding.
Thank you. I will need that.
Right, that's it for this week. And just a reminder, I'm only back in 2 weeks' time until December, when I switch back to being on a weekly schedule. And right now, I'm out of here. I'm going to go try and get some sleep. And hopefully, the baby sleeps for long enough for that to happen. Catch you next time.